Hey everybody, what's going on? Coach William Grazione here, owner of Metabolic Evolution Incorporated, bringing you guys the latest evidence-based nutrition and training advice to help you master your metabolism. And in this case, we're helping you master your pre-workout meal. So this is a question we've been getting a lot from our clients, and they're saying, hey Coach Will, what's the best thing to eat pre-workout? What's the best pre-workout meal? So that's what today's video is going to be about. Everything regarding your pre-workout meal and how you can essentially time that to make sure you have the best training session possible. So we're going to talk about a couple different factors in today's video, and the first one is going to be making sure that your mindset is in a position where you know you're going to be going into the gym and you're going to have an awesome session. Understanding that nothing outside of the gym in that moment, in that environment, is going to deter you from having an awesome session. So the first thing to consider there is making sure that your mindset is in line with the fact that you are going to have a great workout. The second thing to think about before we dive into nutrition is going to be making sure that your training session is either planned out or is effective. Meaning that you are making sure that the stimulus that you are putting on your body within your training session is going to benefit you towards your long-term goals. All right, so we're talking about pre-workout meals. So this is gonna be my pre-workout meal. So we're gonna go ahead and move this out of the way. But that's gonna be my pre-workout meal because I'm heading to the gym here pretty soon, but I wanna make a video for you guys and just talk to you all about pre-workout meals. So it's commonplace that many people think you should have a very low-fat, high carbohydrate, and high protein meal pre-workout. However, why do people think that? Well, they typically think that because fat slows down the digestion of your other macronutrients, carbohydrates and proteins. Now, why would it be ideal to avoid it? And essentially because they think that you have to get the carbohydrates and you have to get the proteins into the body, broken down, processed, and assimilated as fast as humanly possible. However, I'm gonna go ahead and throw a curveball in there, and I'm gonna say that fat can actually be utilized very, very well for your pre-workout meal. So within this video, we will be going through and addressing every single macronutrient that you need to be able to consider when you're trying to create the perfect pre-workout meal for you. Now we're gonna go ahead and start off with fat because that seems to be the biggest variable that a lot of people are shying away from. So what I hope to do in this video is provide you guys some practical application on how you can actually add fat into your pre-workout meal to actually help you have more sustained training energy. So a few various ways that you could add fat into your pre-workout meal, very, very simple. It's going to be something like adding in possibly some olive oil, adding in some peanut butter, adding in some coconut oil, olive oil, whatever kind of fat you like to help you increase the fat to, again, slow down the digestion. Now, in order for me to provide you some insight on why this would be beneficial, we have to transition from talking about fats into transitioning into talking about carbohydrates and how your body actually assimilates carbohydrates and then the other mechanisms that happen within your body when you do have a high carbohydrate meal. Now, whenever you have these high carbohydrate meals, what happens is that your blood sugar rises, and as a side effect of that, your pancreas actually creates insulin. Now, insulin is a hormone that allows your cells, kind of like receptor sites, to pull the sugar into the cell. Now, when that happens, that actually makes you feel quite drowsy and tired. Some people can actually even go hypoglycemic towards the end of their training sessions. Now, if you've ever gone hypoglycemic towards the end of a really intense workout, it is not a good feeling, and I would highly advise that you just add some fat to that meal to slow down the digestion of the carbohydrates and the proteins. So essentially what that would look like, if I had like a line graph or something, is that instead of having this massive spike and fall, you would basically have more of a sustained release of insulin throughout your entire workout. Now, a way you might be able to know the feeling of this, and I know the feeling of this because I've tried it a ton of different times, but try having just a regular plain white or jasmine rice meal with a very lean piece of protein, maybe a fish, maybe a chicken, something like that. Something that you know is going to be broken down really, really quickly, even something like grits. And then actually, what I want you to do instead of that is maybe try a bowl of oatmeal with whey protein and almond butter pre-workout. The difference, just in the way that you feel, is much, much different. In most cases with the pre-workout with just rice and a lean piece of protein, you will get an immediate pump. Like you'll super vascular if you're lean, obviously, but you can get an immediate pump, feel really, really great. But then usually after 45 minutes to an hour, it's gone and you are on the downward slope. However, if you do something like an oatmeal, or maybe you stack again almond butter on top of that, you mix it in with some whey protein, what essentially happens is that you have a more sustained release of energy. So I typically like to have oatmeal on my leg training days, which is exactly what I have right here. And I'm about to take that down because I'm going to go to the gym and hit legs. But what you want is a sustained release of energy. You want to be able to feel good in the gym. You don't want to be able to crash at the gym. In the video that we're going to make regarding training fasted is going to talk all about going hypoglycemic in your training sessions, because I think that oftentimes a lot of people put themselves in the position to go hypoglycemic because they're not actually having any type of fat first thing in the morning, but they are having a lot of simple sugar carbohydrates by way of things such as a Gatorade powder or a fruit. So how many carbs would be ideal to take in for your pre-workout meal? It really is dependent upon you, how fast of a metabolizer you are, how many macronutrients you have in your daily allotted routine. But as a general rule of thumb, I typically recommend about 30 to 50 grams of carbohydrates in your pre-workout meal for the majority of females, and then anywhere from 40, 50, 60, 70, up to 80 grams of carbohydrates for the majority of my male clients, depending on, again, how fast of a metabolizer they are, how many macronutrients they have allotted, and then again, how does that meal actually make them feel? I would not want to load somebody up on an extreme amount of food pre-workout, because again, keep in mind that in order for your body to break that food down, there has to be a lot of recruitment of blood volume that goes into your gut. Now, if you're going into the gym and you're training with a ton of blood volume in your stomach, that's just not a good feeling. And in most cases, I'd probably recommend a liquid meal by way of something like maybe a protein shake, a banana, and a scoop of peanut butter or something like that, just to really help you have a sustained release of energy throughout the workout, and again, to prevent you from going hypoglycemic in the middle of a training session. Now let's go ahead and talk about protein next. Now, I wouldn't advise you to have a massive protein feeding pre-workout unless you're going to wait numerous hours to go to the gym and train. Everything is kind of context dependent on how long you're going to wait after you have this meal to go to the gym and train. But I would say for females, 20 to 30 grams of protein, and then for males, anywhere from 40 to 50 grams of protein if you happen to be a larger individual with a lot of lean body mass. Now, there are times where some of my male clients would have the same amount of protein as some of my female clients, just because their lean body mass is roughly about the same. So keep in mind that it's lean body mass dependent. If you want to learn how to calculate your lean body mass, I'm going to go ahead and post a link right under this video so you guys can click on that and check that out. All right, coming up next, we're going to talk about thermodynamics. Now, there is a difference between how your body metabolizes specific types of nutrients over other ones. As an example, a simple sugar carbohydrate, i.e. something like a fruit, a blueberry or raspberry, some type of simple sugar carbohydrate, honey, something like that, and things like fats don't require much energy by your body at all. We call this thermodynamics. Now, the food that does require the most amount of energy by your body to be broken down is going to be complex carbohydrates and proteins. Now, it makes sense why you should ideally eat a whole food meal before you go into the gym and train, as long as you're providing yourself enough time for that meal to break down, because your body requires more energy to be able to break those foods down. So in theory, if you are eating a complex carbohydrate with a complete protein source, you can actually burn more calories while you're in the gym, because your body is actually doing two separate things. Now, what I would say is that it would be a good idea to actually wait or postpone a large feeding until either, maybe 2 hours before you train or immediately after you train, so you can actually activate that recovery phase so that you guys can, start to regenerate the tissues that you cause damage to in the gym. So last but definitely not least, we're just going to run through a couple meal ideas so you guys actually have some tangible take-home pieces, and you can try these things out in your next pre-workout. Now, again, keep in mind that 45 to 90 minutes of waiting time before you train is going to be ideal, so it can allow your stomach to do its job. It can actually digest the food that you've eaten. The first thing is going to be something very, very simple, something like egg whites, maybe with some avocado and some toast. Sounds great, right? The second thing is going to be making maybe a bowl of oatmeal consisting of something like oats, blueberries, whey protein, and maybe do a tablespoon of either almond butter, peanut butter, or coconut oil. The third meal is going to be something like a chicken, rice, vegetable, and maybe coconut oil or olive oil. And the fourth meal, something simple like a steak and a potato. Keep in mind you are getting fat from the steak in the exact amount that I recommended, which is about 10 to 15 grams of fat with your pre-workout meal to again help slow down the digestion. So those are some food ideas that you guys can utilize before your next training session. If you're used to just going in and having a very lean pre-workout meal and you want to try something different, maybe you are feeling like you're going hypoglycemic in your workouts, just go ahead and try this out, guys. If you have any questions for me, go ahead and leave those in the comment section down below. I'd love to help you guys optimize your pre-workout meal. My name is William Grazione, owner of Metabolic Evolution, helping you guys master your metabolism, and in this case, your pre-workout meal. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. All right, all done. Well, we gotta go train. Yep, we're gonna go train.